And we're live! Welcome to the Week 3 SwoleCast here on FantasyInsiders.com. I'm David Kitchen, joined by Davis Mattek and Dan Gaspar, a.k.a. Mr. 05, and Evan Silva from Roto-World. Evan, you're looking sharp with your NBC polo.
Thanks, man. Yeah, it's from it's from the early 70s.
Yeah, are you gonna do are you planning on doing a broadcast, like just hopping on and going on with Collinsworth, or what?
No, man. I'm here for the SwoleCast. I'm here for average Amari week.
All right, we got a lot of questions. Davis, I think you summed it up perfectly when you were talking about this is going to be an interesting week because ownerships are going to be kind of all over the place.
Yeah, I don't think there's consensus chalk at any position outside of D'Angelo Williams at running back on both sides. I think that there are price points that pretty much everyone, reasonable people, can disagree on pretty much everyone. I think there are legitimate arguments against Tannehill. I think there are legitimate arguments against Andrew Luck, against Hilton, against Dorsett, against Charles Sims, against
What's the argument against Tannehill?
That he's Ryan Tannehill. That would be the main. That's my main. Yeah. That's the main counter argument there.
And the thing that scares me with Tannehill is the defense. This Cleveland team is so bad that it might just be a rout, and they don't need Tannehill to do anything. You've got a few bad defenses, and that's what scares me with some of these guys. The Bears, the Bills, and obviously the Browns. Evan, what's your take on that?
Well, the nice thing about Tannehill is that the Dolphins don't have a running game. I mean, even if they had Arian Foster in there, they wouldn't be able to run the ball because they have 4 left tackles on their offensive line and no Mike Pouncey. So in order to salt the game away, they're going to need to keep throwing in the fourth quarter to Jarvis Landry.
Yep.
And I think that's what makes Tannehill really, really safe. And I think he's got a high floor and a high ceiling this week. In just pretty much a nut spot. I mean, he's a huge favorite, really strong team total. The Browns have actually sort of been a funnel defense. In their first 2 games, they played pretty good run defense, but they've just gotten smashed by the pass. Can't rush the passer. Joe Haidt was out of practice today with a groin injury. And if Tannehill fails this week, I'm quitting.
It's set up perfectly for him, especially on FanDuel. Tuttle, what are your thoughts on quarterback going into this week?
Yeah, I'm kind of all over the chalk as well this week with you guys. On FanDuel, Rivers is, I think, a little bit more expensive of kind of the chalky options with Tannehill being in there. So Rivers could actually see a little lower ownership percentage than what we're going to see out of him on DraftKings. But he's a really good play, obviously, as well, going up against the Colts in one of the highest scoring games of the week. I think I like him as an option in cash games. But I think I'm riding the Tannehill train with you guys.
Don't drag me into that. Yeah, I'm not playing.
I'm not riding the Tannehill train completely.
Let's play Ryan Fitzpatrick instead.
Fitzpatrick and Rivers, I think, are my cash game quarterbacks this week.
Oh,
with outside chance Mariota makes it.
Yeah. See, this is where on DraftKings, for me, it's Mariota and it's Dak Prescott. I think Dak is going to eat for his price. Thank you, Evan, for his price tag. This Bears defense, it's people. I mentioned this on the SiriusXM show last night. People forget how good Dak Prescott was during the preseason. This is a preseason defense that he's playing against the Bears because they are so depleted from injuries.
I'd just rather play Zeke.
I mean, it's got to be the worst possible spot to take him when they're a 7-point favorite. You think they're throwing up 10? That's going to be first down, second down, third down rushes. I just don't think the only way Dak has upside is if they're in a close game, like week 1 when he threw 47 times.
Our buddies over there at 4 for 4 say that quarterbacks are actually in a better spot when they're ahead, when they're the favorites.
I mean, the math checks out on that, over the long run.
Wait, you're saying a team that puts up more points than the other team has quarterbacks that do better?
Yeah. Well, some people say that
that's groundbreaking news right there.
Well, some people
Teams
play
that
the
produce points
guys
the
that
best
have to
fantasy
come back
performance.
from like touchdown deficits as the guys they want to play. Evan, go
I'm
ahead.
saying on a macro level that analysis is correct, but on a micro level with this team that hates to run a bunch of plays, they take the play clock down to 1. They have an offensive line. The entire team is constructed around running the ball as well and as much as possible. They're using 3 different running backs right now. I don't see like a 4 touchdown game from Dak at all.
Okay, great. I mean, I don't need a 4 touchdown game from him.
Okay, but it's much more likely that, Mariota, Tannehill, Rivers, Luck, like these guys can be week winners for you.
Yeah.
I would love to know the argument for Ryan Fitzpatrick, because so far the Chiefs have given up the quarterback 19 week to Phillip Rivers, the quarterback 26 week to Brock Osweiler. Brandon Marshall's banged up. Ryan Fitzpatrick has really bad road splits. I would love to know the argument for Ryan Fitzpatrick. I mean, other than he's got Eric Decker, who I do think individually is a great play, but that's not enough for me, Davis.
So my argument would be that some of the Chiefs' deficiencies. So that week 1, Melvin Gordon has 2 touchdowns from inside the 5-yard line instead of them throwing it to Gates, Benjamin, whoever. So that skewed the touchdown numbers for Rivers. The second would be that I think over the course of the year, the Chiefs are going to play like a funnel defense. I think they're better against the run than the pass. I know Marcus Peters got a really good PFF grade last week, And in my watching of him, I think right now he's playing like a gambling cornerback, and that a lot of the times he takes risky, right? I guess it would be routes to the ball. And I think Brandon Marshall will play. Brandon Marshall has a history of doing well when he's listed as questionable before a game.
Here we go.
And this is rough.
The Jets.
Scout Mattek is when you know we're getting. When Davis is mentioning his scouting takes, we know it's kind of a shaky take.
This is not right on a macro or micro level to say someone has been good historically when they've been questionable.
I mean, but that's just true.
Stop.
We're gonna start losing listeners here.
Yeah, I got a comment from Leone. He said, "Good job calling out Davis on the QBs from ahead don't have upside fallacy." That's from Leone. Thanks, Leone, for the comment.
That's fine, but I said on a micro level, this is not. I disagree with the analysis in reference to the Dallas quarterbacks.
Well, what? I mean, wasn't that reasoning used last week against Josh McCown? And then before he broke his collarbone, he was just tearing it up.
Yeah.
Your whole. I mean, it's so hard to approach it from a one rule fits all. You got to base it on a game by game kind of process.
If Delaney Walker is out, because I like Mariota as well. If Delaney Walker is out, how much does this affect Mariota, Evan, against this Oakland defense?
Huge. I'm off Mariota at this point. I liked him earlier in the week, but in daily fantasy, I'm off Mariota. I mean, first of all, the Titans' offense hasn't been very good. That really is the biggest concern. The Titans' offense, they've had a few chunk plays. DeMarco Murray had a 67-yard run, but I mean, there's really no rhythm right now to their offense. They're trying to figure things out, and Mariota did make a great throw to Delaney last week, but Delaney was downgraded on Friday. He went from limited practice on Thursday to no practice on Friday. That's a bad sign always, and he may still go out there and play, but I mean, he's their best playmaker in the passing game. So that takes me off of Mariota in addition to the Titans' offensive struggles so far.
Let's talk about FanDuel and what the quarterback options might look like. Top point scorer, Dan, for you this week.
Top point scorer at quarterback?
Yes.
Yeah, give me Rodgers.
Ooh, nice. Bounce back game. He's mad. Who cares? Who cares if PFF is against him? It's narrative street. Evan,
relax. There has been so much negative rhetoric about Aaron Rodgers on the internet this week. I mean, first of all, you got to understand that he's played better historically at home, and they had to start with 2 games back-to-back on the road. So he will be back where he's comfortable. And the Lions are missing Ziggy Ansah, their only edge pass rusher, an every down linebacker in their defense, DeAndre Levy. And I think that Aaron Rodgers is a great, great tournament play. I think that I think he's going to have low ownership because of all the negative rhetoric about him. And, I mean, he hasn't played well. There's a reason for the negative rhetoric. But I think he's an amazing tournament play. The Lions are a funnel. I mean, and the Packers haven't been able to run the ball, period. So I think Aaron Rodgers has 4 TD upside for sure.
Ooh, nice. Who would you give him the top overall guy?
I mean, I could see putting him number 2 behind Tannehill.
Oh, nice. Tannehill number 1. I've got Andrew Luck number 1. Davis, you have Andrew Luck number 1 as well, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think like I saw a couple people like kind of hyping up Frank Gore, like maybe he's a play this week. That's my analysis on Frank Gore.
Frank Gore? What?
Yeah, so I just think the Colts are going to throw 45 times against a bad Chargers defense. I am interested on what Evan thinks Verrett is going to do against the Colts. He should be on, one of Dorsett or Quan Bray or Chester Rogers because Hilton spends so much time in the slot. But he's like, just his presence is not enough to get me off Luck, basically.
No, I mean, I think that we'll see him on T.Y. Hilton for most of the game. I think the Colts will be in a 2 tight end set. Jack Doyle played 60% of the Colts snaps last week after Moncrief went out early, and I think that Hilton will be on the outside for most of the game. And I know that Verrett doesn't ordinarily travel into the slot, but I think that this is a situation where he might, number one. Number two, players have lower ADOTs in the slot, so you have less big play upside when T.Y. Hilton is in the slot. But now they need a guy to play outside. I mean, I don't think that they're going to run out Chester Rogers for more than like 20 snaps. He's their third receiver. They don't have a lot of wide receiver depth right now. So I think that T.Y. Hilton will primarily play outside, and he'll draw Verrett. And then when he does move into the slot, I mean, his ADOT goes down, so he has less big play ability. So I don't really like T.Y. Hilton very much in daily fantasy this week. I think that Dwayne Allen is the play. The Chargers got smashed by tight ends in both of their first 2 games. They lost Eric Weddle in the offseason. They lost their strong safety, Jaleel Adai, to a fractured collarbone last week. Their inside linebackers, Denzel Perryman and Manti Te'o, were slow. I mean, the game sets up really, really well for Dwayne Allen and to a little bit lesser extent, Jack Doyle, who is, kind of just a big red zone target. But I mean, he's a guy who could score a touchdown too. But I think that this game sets up really well for Dwayne Allen. They've been using him as a pass catcher this year, almost strictly, whereas in past years he has been a blocker. So he's my favorite DFS tight end play at his price this week, certainly on DraftKings where he's underpriced, and I think he's fine price on FanDuel too. Same,
because as far as the other tight ends, you've got Gates, Delaney, forget about ASJ, but you've got all these tight ends that are like questionable, and I almost hate it because it's going to bring more people on to Dwayne Allen, and I think he's a very good play. For what it's worth, we did have Michael Gelkin from the San Diego Union Tribune on the SiriusXM Fantasy Insider show, and he said that he's completely healthy and he believes that he will be shadowing T.Y. Hilton. He just thinks that he's a guy that's going to shut down the opposing team's best player, and he thinks that he'll travel around
and again, when Hilton is in the slot, he has less big play ability.
Right.
So you got Verrett on the outside, you have less big play ability in the slot. I mean, that's an issue for T.Y. Hilton.
Dorsett, does that mean you're on him, Evan?
A little bit. I mean, the Chargers cornerbacks aren't bad. Brandon Flowers has been all right early in the season, and they got Casey Hayward, your boy, Soccer Dave, and he's awesome. So I don't know. I mean, look, Philip Dorsett can make big plays. He's already got 3 gains of 30-plus yards. He had another one in the preseason. I mean, he's got incredible speed. I don't think he's a lock by any means. I don't know. I mean, I don't think he's like some great play.
Shout out to the guy who just called me a Gerber baby in chat. just looked over to see that. All right, let's move on to running back.
Can I give one QB hot take real quick?
I would love it.
One more. A guy that legitimately might have 50 passing attempts is Matthew Stafford.
Sam Shields is out.
Yeah, Shields is likely out. Is he out for sure? I know he's more than likely. Okay, so yeah, Shields out for sure. I think Stafford legitimately might throw 50 times in this game, and that would obviously do great things with that volume. You're looking at a guy that has or did throw multi-touchdown games prior to last week. I think it was like 7 straight or something like that. So he's a guy that I think is mostly going overlooked, but really has a lot of upside in this matchup.
Can I throw out one more?
Tell me Hoyer. Tell me it's Brian Hoyer for
gosh.
$6K.
Well, number one, I think Cam, anytime he's at home, you need to think about him. He's finished as a top 5 fantasy quarterback in 7 of his last 9 home games, which is just absurd. He'll have no ownership because of the Vikings defense. Number 2, Alex Smith.
Yeah.
Who, I mean, hey, apparently Davis thinks that Ryan Fitzpatrick's going to have a big day. I do like this game to go over the total. And the Jets have been a funnel defense so far. They gave up the quarterback 11 in week 1 to Andy Dalton. And they gave up the quarterback 5 week to Tyrod Taylor last week. I don't think the Chiefs are going to be able to run the ball on the Jets. The Chiefs are missing at least 1 starting guard, if not 2. And the Jets have the best defensive line in football. I really like Macklin and Kelsey. I like the spots for both those guys. And I think that Alex Smith is going to be super, super low owned, and I think that he has 3 touchdown upside this week.
This Jets passing defense is not the Jets passing defense we've seen in the past.
Not at all. I mean, people should be on Macklin big time this week. I don't know if people are talking about him. I haven't heard a lot about him.
No, not a lot of talk about this. Again,
23 targets through 2 games. I mean, and that offense is all short passing. They're going to end the season, as one of the 10 most plays ran in terms of offenses. So I like Macklin.
Football Outsiders released their new charting data, and Revis is like in the bottom 10 on like target success rate and number of times or just overall grade. So it's just interesting, the decline of his career. All right, let's move on to running back. We've got D'Angelo Williams, David Johnson. You got to choose one. Tuttle, who's it for you?
I think it's got to be D'Angelo Williams. Won last week.
They're just going to grind him into the ground.
I am the biggest David Johnson fan on this earth, and I don't even know if this is a discussion for cash.
Evan?
David Johnson.
Yes! Someone like Davis. I don't know what you're doing to your brand. Last week you played Eli over Cam. This week you're saying the guy who you
on FanDuel.
Okay.
$800 difference.
That's nothing. It's nothing. He was the only play. You did not jam him in.
It is when you're playing Antonio Brown and Odell Beckham.
All
this is a forward-thinking show.
This is a forward. I'm just talking about.
You can't fade Superman at home, man. It's lit. That would have been like Davis from like 2 years ago.
Legit, the best possible matchup that he'll have this season. Davis didn't play him, and now you're not going to play David Johnson.
Well, no, I'm just saying D-Will is the first guy in for me.
Right.
I think you can play both.
Okay, so yeah, I agree that you could play both. You got to go low price QB on DK. It's going to be tough to do it on FanDuel.
Well, there's so many good mid-range wide receivers on DraftKings that I don't think you don't like have to play Antonio Brown or Odell this week.
And that's kind of the cash construction, is that you've got a handful of guys, legit just a handful of guys who are in pretty good spots, but you have a ton of wide receivers that you can use and kind of move around. Let's talk about Melvin Gordon, Evan.
Well, so can we hear Evan's David Johnson take? Or no?
Yeah,
sure.
He's just going to fucking
go. Yeah, we're just going to go right by him.
He's going to go off. An inferior all-purpose back who plays for the Jets, Matt Forte, was the number 1 overall fantasy running back in Buffalo last week. David Johnson is a superior all-purpose back. The Bills are going to be without Sammy Watkins. They're not going to be able to generate any offense. I think that the Cardinals D plus David Johnson is an excellent correlation play that will not have a lot of ownership. And I mean, David Johnson is ready to explode, man. I mean, he hasn't really had like monster weeks yet, but he's had like 130, 140 total yards in his first 2 games. It's time. It's time for David Johnson. The Bills got to be worried because they could not defend vertical passes last week against Ryan Fitzpatrick. And now they have to deal with a vertical-oriented offense of Arizona. And, I mean, they're going to have to drop guys back. David Johnson is going to have free reign, and he is going to go absolutely wild in Buffalo. I also think that C-Mike right now, I mean, with what has happened today, is he might be in the nut spot because Thomas Rawls is not going to play. CJ Prosise has a broken hand. They've got Alex Collins there. But, you know, I mean, this is a situation where, like, Christine Michael could play every snap in the Seahawks offense or close to it against a 49ers defense that's, since the beginning of the 2015 season, has given up 33 points per game on the road. You know, I think that C-Mike has a floor of like 18 carries, and he could have like 32. And he's going to be a guy that I'm going to have a real hard time not putting into almost every lineup.
Ooh, every lineup. Jamming him in. I like it. He's $5,000 on DK, which is still, for what you're getting from him, it's pretty good. Melvin Gordon is $5,800. Who would you choose out of those two, Evan? Sorry, didn't mean to disrupt the jug.
No, by the way, I watched your Abdullah video. That was hilarious. And also props for rocking the jug.
I've got it right here. I thought it might be unprofessional to have 3 people rocking the jugs on the SwoleCast at the same time.
I mean, I don't know. I have like personal bias issues with Melvin Gordon. You know, like he burned me a bunch last year. He's been good so far, but you know, I'm probably just going to end up being late to this dance. So I'm not the person to talk about Melvin Gordon.
Davis or Tuttle, either of you want to talk about Melvin Gordon?
He's probably the second chalk at running back. But I think if you do the DJ D'Angelo Williams combination on DraftKings, I don't know if his price point is very accessible unless you go cheap quarterback, 2 cheap wide receivers, and then 1 mid-tier. The guy I want to talk about is Charles Sims. They don't really have a guy who can fill in on passing downs. They signed Dexter McCluster, who, I mean, if you look at his Pro Football Reference page, he's one of the most spectacularly unproductive running backs of our time. He makes Jaquiz Rodgers look like an offensive weapon. And, you know, he's only had 4 days to learn the offense. He's not a good pass blocker.
He knows 95% of the playbook.
He doesn't.
That's what he said. That's what Gelkin told me on the show. It's Wizenhunt's playbook.
Well, I don't care. Dexter McCluster sucks.
I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Charles Sims is #good. He's probably looking at 12 to 15 carries and probably 5 to 8 targets in the passing game. And the main thing is that the Rams are incapable of putting you in a negative game script as a running back. They've scored 9 points through 2 games. They're starting Case Keenum at quarterback. Their other alternative is Jared Goff. If Keenum plays so bad he has to go to the bench. Todd Gurley can't generate anything on his own. The defense can't generate turnovers, even though they are talented in the front 7. I think Sims is sort of like the waterproof game script running back of the week at the mid-tier. Like, I like him more than Riddick. I like him more than McKinnon. And I think that Michael and Sims are close, but I like Sims's pass-catching floor a little bit more.
On DK, Sims, Riddick, and C-Mike are all priced as essentially the exact same price. I mean, in cash, you could just plug those 3 dudes in and pretty much get whoever you want.
Yeah.
Not having a piece of D'Angelo would scare me a little bit, but I'm not going to die like on D'Angelo Hill, especially with some of these.
All right, well, never mind. I'm an idiot. Did the Bucks did not sign McCluster?
Oh, I thought you were talking about Melvin
Gordon. Chargers. I did too. I got confused there.
They signed Jaquiz Rodgers, who also sucks. They both suck.
We thought you were okay. Never mind. Continue on.
I didn't know. I thought you were like saying that's why he was better than Melvin Gordon.
No, I'm sorry.
I think all of us thought that.
I'm sorry. Yeah, so it's Jaquiz Rogers who's on the Bucks, but he's, again, also terrible. So
Can we get Tuttle to talk about Zeke?
I love it. I love me some Zeke. I mean, the Bears lost, two of their best run defenders at the linebacking position. He's set up. I like him significantly better than Dak Prescott, kind of because of I think his price range is nice on DraftKings specifically. Whereas with Dak Prescott, you have better options in his price range. You can kind of pivot off of. So I like Elliott quite a bit. I think it's a game where he could see, that 30 carry mark that we talk about. That's tough to get. It's just it's an ideal matchup for him.
The bottom line is Dallas is going to do whatever they want to do in this game. If they want to get Zeke carries, they will.
You would think. I mean, the Bears lost 6 defensive starters in one game on Monday night. Now they're on a short week on the road.
Right. And there's the potential that Alshon Jeffrey might not even play for this Hoyer-led team.
So let me ask you this. If you plug in C-Mike and you plug in Zeke, are you guaranteed 60 carries?
There's your 60 carry week that we're looking for.
Who is it week 1? AP and...
Hey, forward thinking.
Yeah, forward thinking. I think they did reach 40 carries, by the way.
Hey,
yeah.
They just got like 40 yards on 40 carries.
That was great takes, guys.
Oh, it was Gurley.
Yeah, it was Gurley.
Okay. All right. Let's before we get on to wide receiver, want to mention our sponsor Draft. Go to playdraft.com/insiders. So I don't even have to give a sponsored read. If you are playing after 1 a.m., after midnight, there's a good chance you'll see me on there. When I'm holding the baby, I just open up the app and I just draft. That's what I do.
If you want an easy way to make money, just draft against Soccer Dave.
Yeah, right. I gained $70 last week. Won a bunch of 6-man. I took Big T's money. It was lit. Anyways.
Oh, it's hard to get Big T giblets.
Yeah. So, anyways, big shout out to the Draft app. It's a fun app, and again, you can just go to playdraft.com/SoccerDave if you want to challenge me. All right, let's move on to the wide receivers. Let's create a lineup. Let's create a DraftKings lineup.
Yeah, I want to draft a team.
All right, let's create a DraftKings lineup.
Let's do it.
Do you need some time, Tuttle, or are you ready to go?
Ezekiel Elliott, bitch. Can I say that on?
I mean, Tuttle's already let it fly, so I'm gonna have to go back and edit it anyways. So,
all right,
yeah, let's start with Zeke.
All right, Evan.
Tannehill.
All right, I'm gonna take Jarvis Landry to pair with Tannehill.
I'm going to go with, and I think we can fit both. Well, I don't know. Ezekiel, it's not that bad. I'm going to go with Mike Evans. I know we can talk about him later. I think he's going to eat this week. Tuttle, you're up.
Let's go Christine Michael.
All right, Evan.
Average Amari.
I'm going to take Dwayne. Well, actually, no, it's not going to work. So I'm going to go Cowboys defense. 2,500, 7-point favorites at home. They suck, but Brian Hoyer sucks worse.
All right. I do like Dwayne Allen, but because we need some savings, I will go with Trey Burton at tight end. And we've got 5,600 left for you, Daniel.
For me?
Yes.
Silva hasn't gone this time around, has he?
Yeah,
he took average Amari.
He took average Amari. So we've got Sterling Shepard at 5,500. You got Travis Benjamin, Stephon Diggs, which
Diggs is who I would take.
He's no longer, though, a gimme. I mean, he was the chalk. He's no longer a gimme with this groin issue, but we could just go ahead and plug him in if we want. And then we can upgrade Cowboys to Dolphins, even though you're pairing him with – never mind. You're pairing them with a quarterback wide receiver. So you want to go Diggs?
This is a tough spot. Yeah, I'll go Diggs. I like Diggs best in that spot.
The groin thing where he's not even on the injury report is going to lower his ownership unreasonably.
Yeah.
So you think
and we
he's
can
fine?
Upgrade the D.
Do you understand that he's leading the NFL in receiving yards by like 60 yards?
Oh, yeah.
And
I've
he's
got
like
him.
the wide receiver 50 on DraftKings, and he's like the wide receiver 42 on FanDuel.
I'm the one who told Smiz last week. I was like, Smiz, you gotta play Diggs. Like, you just gotta do it, man. He sent me like a big fruit basket.
Inside info, man.
So
this is
You
week
only
3.
got a fruit basket?
Yeah. He sent me a fruit
So
basket.
for those of you that like to have sex without your pants on and just play pure chalk, you could also do the double wide receiver stack with Devontae Parker.
Okay.
And then upgrade to one of Silva's favorite defenses, Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Damn right.
All right. Let's move on to wide receiver. Silva, you have the floor for average Amari.
Oh, yeah. This is, just watching last week's game, man, like this dude, he's ready. He's ready to go. His price and his ownership would both be a lot higher had this one play not been taken off the board where Desmond Trufant like pushed him out of bounds. So this 60-yard catch and run TD was pulled off the board, and he finished with like 570. That would have taken him to 6-131, and everyone like, oh, he's there. I mean, he has arrived, and he's ready to do this. And last year in Week 12, he went 7 for 115 and against the Titans, and Parrish Cox, their number 2 corner, has just been a complete disaster. And the Titans are also a funnel defense. They have been stopping the run big time early in the season. Amari Cooper, one of the issues with them last year, he had 0 targets inside the opposing 10-yard line, just wasn't getting a lot of TD opportunities. Already got 2 through 2 games.
He also ate versus the Titans when they played in the preseason. I think it was week 1. He was only on the field for 2 drives, had 3 for 52 and a touchdown.
They are not going to be able to stop this dude. It's in a game where, hey, if Mariota has a big game, all the better, because that will, put him in a better, Amari Cooper in a better game script situation. I think Amari Cooper's ready, and I think it happens this week.
Nice. Let's talk about Antonio Brown, and obviously he's the top guy. Potentially, we saw last week going heavy, expensive wide receivers did not work out. His price is pretty high, and so the question is, do you pay up for him?
What's your guys' read on his ownership percentage?
It's going to be low. This will be one of the lowest it is all season.
I think it'll be
I
like
agree.
15%, like 10 to 15%.
Yeah, I think it's going to be pretty low for AB, and I love him this week because of that. I think he's a guy that you can play kind of a leverage play off of D'Angelo Williams. So if you want to pay or play some of the cheaper running backs, go that route and then go AB as your top wide receiver. I think that's a good way to kind of differentiate your lineups.
As far as again, if you get those cheap running backs, you can play Antonio Brown, and you can pair him with the Diggs.
I'm having a tough time with Antonio on DraftKings because you can get him. Like, it's not even impossible to get him, but is Philip Dorsett and Antonio Brown better than Jarvis Landry and Ezekiel Elliott? With the defense combined in that 3v3, like, you do have to make a legitimate sacrifice to get him this week.
I don't think it's Ezekiel Elliott for me because there's enough of those cheaper running backs. It's like a 2v2 with someone like Amari Cooper.
I'll give you guys a wide receiver who's still ridiculously cheap for his involvement in the offense.
Fitzgerald?
Nope.
Ooh.
Like, we're looking dirt cheap. $3,800 on DraftKings, $5,000 on FanDuel. Jamison Crowder.
Yeah, I like it.
He's a guy that should see an increase in targets if Deshaun Jackson is hobbled and or not playing in this game. He's already averaging about 9 targets a week. He's had a lot of red zone involvement. And he'll have the best matchup outside of Jordan Reed this week against the Giants. I think he's a really good play that you can even roster him in cash games.
This Giants defense is better. I feel like it's a lot better than what it's been in the past. It is. I don't know if I'm going to roster. I don't know if I'm going to roster him or Jordan Reed in cash.
Linebackers
games.
are the woes, though.
Yeah, the middle of their field still is not very good defensively.
Evan, we got to talk. We got to talk about Jordan Matthews against the Steelers. That's going to put the Eagles into a game script where Wentz has to throw, and Matthews looks like the prospect that most smart people anticipated he would. The drops are still there, but you're going to have drops when you're open every single play. I think that's just factual, and I like his price point on DraftKings.
He's only had 2 drops on the season. Just one of them was really bad.
It's always the narrative with him is the drops. So I just
they saw him in an island game, and he had a big drop of a touchdown.
I mean,
which killed me, dude. Which I had so much of him last week.
Yeah.
I mean, I just feel like whenever he's in a great spot, he always disappoints.
He literally could have doubled his points from 10 to 20 FanDuel points. So it's very disappointing. Also, the Alshon, Jeffrey had the chance to also catch a touchdown. So it was disappointing for our SwoleCast team last week. I like Jordan Matthews. I think it'd be just especially on DraftKings, just a PPR machine. Was listening to Greg Cosell the other day talking about how they are just keeping the Steelers are not blitzing hardly at all. They're keeping everything in front of them, and they're just making teams just drive down the field and make a mistake, basically. It's a bend, don't break defense. So I do think that Matthews could eat in that style against that style defense.
Yeah, and the Steelers slot corner is actually this dude that they wanted to play safety, Sean Davis. He's a rookie out of Maryland, and they wanted him to be their starting strong safety, but they need him to play corner. And he's been in the slot, and I mean he has horrible PFF grades. They've been giving up a lot of production to opposing slot receivers. Oh, last week they gave up almost 75 yards to Tyler Boyd, and in the first game they faced Jamison Crowder, and he had 10 targets and 60 yards. I mean, not that he tore it up, but the Redskins were going after that guy, and I think that it makes a lot of sense for the Eagles to go after that guy with J-Man.
All right, I want to mention my guy Mike Evans here. I think he is in a great spot. Cody Sensabaugh has been extremely, extremely bad. And I think that if he's the one who's matched up with him, I think he is going to be that way. That's Mike Evans for his price point, especially on DraftKings, one of those mid-range guys.
I got a good bet for us then.
Is it Allen Robinson versus Mike Evans?
No, Fitzgerald versus Evans.
Okay, I'll take that.
Okay, 25 booked?
25 booked.
Okay.
So anybody against that because of the pace, because of the number of points being projected by Vegas? Because that's really the only concern that I have. I think that he's seen plenty of targets.
Yeah, he's going to see targets no matter pace of the game.
Yeah,
I'm not too concerned.
It's not as donkey as recommending Vincent Jackson like you did last
week. No.
Yeah.
I just want to clarify.
That is true.
I asked because people had been talking about Vincent Jackson. His projection was up. I wasn't on Vincent Jackson at all. Let's talk about real quick. Speaking of corners and guys that haven't been producing, Sean Smith against Tajay Sharp without Delaney. Does that concern you, or does that excite you more that Tajay Sharp might be seeing more targets there for Mariota?
So I think Sharp could be one of those he just played a bunch last week and ran bad type plays where everyone just kind of forgets why we played him last week. But I kind of want to hear Evan's analysis on Sharp.
Yeah, I mean he tied for the team lead in targets.
He played 100% of the snaps.
He's a rookie, and he had 4 catches for 33 yards. I mean, I don't know. Shit happens.
Are you just giving him the meh tag as far as this week, Evan?
I would say meh. I mean, I don't know how big is his ceiling. How big is his ceiling?
He doesn't have one is the thing.
That's an issue. Yeah.
Well, because he's not running. He's just not running down the field. I think Sharp is a good player, but you have to understand his role for fantasy is not super valuable, and I don't think he profiles like a red zone weapon either.
That was his role in college too, wasn't it?
Yeah, he was a possession guy.
Yeah,
he's very, very good. Jason Avant.
All right, Stephon Diggs versus Travis Benjamin. Tuttle.
Diggs, easy.
Diggs. All day long.
Yeah, that's not even close.
This Vikings offense is just set up for Diggs to eat all season long, all year long. People are going to be worried about the groin, ownership down. Vikings have not been able to run the ball, even when they had AP in there. Now AP's out of there.
And now they're going to be able to run the ball.
Panthers always score points at home. Their running game is going to be passes to Stephon Diggs in the slot. Stephon Diggs is going to eat big time this game and the rest of the season.
Yeah, I like them both. As far as I think Benjamin's still at cash game. He's potentially cash game worthy on DraftKings. So I would definitely rather have Diggs. That groin thing, I really hope, Evan, that your analysis is correct, that people are getting off of him because of the groin thing, not just because of my Thursday night shares.
He's not even on the injury report, dude.
Okay.
He's a superstar. They're just giving him a rest day.
Yeah.
Yo.
He has arrived. Amari Cooper arrives this week. Stephon Diggs arrived last week.
Yo, can I get my one terrible take in? Tuttle's terrible take.
The Kevin White take.
I found my Kevin White of the week.
Is it Terrell Pryor?
It is not. It's a guy that is just absolutely terrible. Randomly has 2 touchdown games here and there.
Oh no.
Gets a lot of targets. Tavon.
No.
Tavon.
Oh.
That's Tuttle's terrible take of the week. Tavon Austin.
Tavon is going to set a record for biggest disparity in teams' market share of touches and yards created. He's just going to he's going to have 30% market share of the team's total touches and 15% of their total yards.
I'd rather have Kenny Britt than Tavon Austin.
I was just going to say this.
I actually don't disagree with that. But it wouldn't be Tuttle's terrible take if it wasn't Tavon Austin.
I mean, Tavon does have incredible YouTube highlights.
Yes,
he really does. He looked so good.
That's why,
9 years.
That's
ago.
why Peter. That's why our buddy Peter Jennings, CSU Rams, loves him because anyone that has a good highlight tape, he loves.
I'll put on my Davis Mattek scouting hat from the beginning of the show when he was scouting Fitzpatrick.
I was scouting Marcus Peters.
Oh, Marcus Peters, my bad.
Bradley McDougald. Is that how you say his name? McDougald?
Davis's take on Marcus Peter was that he's I don't even know what they call it. It seems like he's taking bad routes to the ball.
Well, it's route efficiency would be the term in baseball, but I'm sure there's a football term for it. He's overly aggressive, in man-to-man coverage. That's my analysis of Marcus Peters.
He gives up a lot of production and he gets interceptions.
Yeah. Yeah, he's tied for the NFL lead in interceptions, and he's given up 12 touchdowns in coverage through 18 games.
Any other wide receivers that you want to mention? Speak now, forever hold your peace. We really skipped over Travis Benjamin and Tyrell Williams, but they're both definitive cash plays to me this week, I think.
Yo, Decker could eat big time.
What about Quincy Enunwa if Marshall is out, Evan?
Yeah, I mean, that puts him into play. I like Doug Baldwin a lot too. I think that he's going to have no ownership this week. Tyler Lockett is questionable, and I think that Baldwin's going to have no ownership, and he's a guy who can have a 2 TD game.
All right, 2 other guys that could. Again, this is the mid to upper price guys. The mid to upper working class, I guess. Allen Robinson against Baltimore. And Marvin Jones against Green Bay without Sam Shields as the definitive number 1 play. Tuttle, you talked about Stafford. Both these guys could go off. Allen Robinson, obviously a tough game last week with only 5 targets. 15 targets, though, the first game. He's due. He's due for a big game. So I think that he's definitely in line for a potential breakout game, and obviously we've seen what Marvin Jones has done the first 2 games of the season.
The Jaguars have to prove to me that they can go back to playing optimally with the players that they have, because right now they are putting none of their players in positions to succeed.
All right. So you're not on Team A-Rob this week.
Not this week.
Evan?
Yeah, I mean, Jason Verrett was just running his routes for him last week. I mean, and I think Jimmy Smith has been pretty good so far. I mean, in the one game where Sammy Watkins was somewhat healthy, Jimmy Smith held him under 50 yards. And last week, Terrell Pryor is a converted quarterback, but I mean, he didn't do anything against Jimmy Smith last week either. So I think that the matchup is a little bit difficult. But I mean, I think that Allen Robinson's a great tournament play, and I think that he will continue to be.
All right, let's move on to tight ends.
No, let's make our FanDuel team.
Yeah.
Okay, we
I need a team to run in the daily fantasy accuracy.
All right,
challenge.
we have to pair the quarterback with the tight end. This is what the people wanted on Twitter.
But the problem is on FanDuel is there's literally only one tight end play.
Well, if
what
this
is
is
that?
GPP team, there can be more than one tight end plays.
I don't know. Like, Jesse James has played the 4th most snaps of any tight end, and he's still minimum salary.
You could go Alex Smith, Kelsey. You could go Flacco, Pitta, Jesse James, Roethlisberger.
Aaron Rodgers and Cook.
Yeah, that's definitely
Yes.
in play.
That is the play right
Let's
there.
do that.
Okay.
Jared Cook is so gross.
Isn't
So
he the
awesome.
same price as Pitta?
I think
Yes.
200 less.
Yes, no, he's the exact same price.
Exact same.
So
okay.
it's a good pivot play. I like it. We're already off to a good start. A-Rod, who's not concerned about what any of you guys think, and Jared Cook.
Okay, here. Since I picked that, I'm going to pick Marvin Jones to make a game stack, and then you guys pick the rest of the team.
Okay.
All right.
Silva, you go.
Stephon Diggs.
Yes. Davis?
David Johnson.
Yeah.
All right, let me get these.
We might actually have a good team unless Soccer Days.
No.
Well,
I've been fine. It's Davis who has been the one who has hijacked our team. So I'm glad he stayed
I was
on
gonna
brand.
pick Ryan Fitzpatrick if you guys let it come to me.
Oh my God.
No, we already picked Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, Rodgers and Cook.
Right. So I said if we did it like normal.
I'm still worried about Kitchen here.
Yeah.
No, you don't have to worry about me.
Kitchen, take a kicker, man. Do it for the team.
Just take one for the team, man.
Let's see. We got Diggs, and do we ever? Oh, our running back is
David Johnson.
David
Come
Johnson.
on, fella.
All
Keep
right.
up.
I had to put all of those guys in. All right, so I will go with
Excruciating.
I will go with J-Matt. Well, can we put him in there 2 weeks in a row?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, you didn't screw it up.
Davis is the one that screwed up teams so far this year, not me. Just for the
All right.
record.
Well, I'm gonna pick Kristen Michael.
All right.
So we got a kicker and a defense left. Evan, what's the defense this week?
Seahawks and Hauschka and bring it home. Seahawks and Hauschka.
Boom. Boom.
Done.
This is actually a good team, which means it's gonna suck.
So does that
I
mean
love
we
it.
need a $7,000 receiver?
What are
No.
you talking? We got Marvin Jones.
Oh, Marvin Jones. That's right. Tuttle pick
the
Marvin
game
Jones.
stack.
All right, so we got A-Rod, David Johnson, Kristen Michael, Jordan Matthews, Diggs, Marvin Jones, Jared Cook, and Hauschka with the Seahawks D.
Yo, that actually is a sexy team.
Yeah, it's actually fire.
Yeah, and if you wanted to, you could always downgrade kicker and defense and like upgrade a J-Mat if you wanted to. So
Good.
All right, let's talk about tight end, though. I do want to talk about, I think Jordan Reed, for me, he's like too high priced. I can't do it. I want to go cheap.
It's tough to get him in, man.
I want to go cheap. I want to go Jesse James. I want to go Pitta. And on DraftKings, I want to go Dwayne Allen. But Dwayne Allen, even on FanDuel, is a little too expensive for me at 6,100.
Yep.
Well, I can tell that I'm going to lose this week because I agree with Kitchen that Allen is definitely the play on DraftKings. I'm just setting and forgetting Jesse James until they move his price on FanDuel, though. He's running a bunch of routes.
He's blocking on a ton of routes, though, is the thing.
I mean, even with his blocking duties, he's on the field. He's got a couple red zone targets. Like for the minute, like for
No. I understand where you're coming from. I just think that people might be underestimating, like seeing that he's on the field for 100% of the snaps or whatever when he's blocking so much. It's not like he's a pass catching tight end out there. So
He's pulling a Dwayne Allen of years past.
Well, I mean, if you look, the way I would choose to look at it is that this is unrealized expectation, right? Like just being on the field for the Steelers is going to have a high expectation, the same way that being on the field for the Patriots, like Martellus Bennett week 1, he had a terrible game because he blocked a bunch, didn't get a ton of targets, but he was on the field. That expectation was realized in week 2, and I assume that all these snaps for James are going to continue to realize in value over time.
All right, let's just assume Delaney Walker is out. We won't even mention him. Let's talk about 2 minimum salary guys real quick. Trey Burton, who I think will be a little bit higher owned because of last week's game. Also, Hunter Henry, I think, is potentially an interesting guy for GPPs. Evan, what's your take on those 2 guys?
Just no interest in either of them.
Cool. All right, moving on.
When you can go up $500 on FanDuel and get Dennis Pitta,
yeah.
I don't. I would
How
just
crazy is it that we're talking about just spend up a little more to get Dennis Pitta? Just crazy in 2 weeks how he's become a target monster for Joe Flacco. Might lead the team in receptions this year. Crazy. But yeah, he is the top cash play tight end for me on FanDuel. Davis, are you jamming in Jordan Reed on FanDuel?
I think maybe 5 times on this show I've said I'm just playing Jesse James.
So Jordan Reed.
So you're saying no. You're saying no.
That would be correct.
Tuttle, what's your take on FanDuel?
I want the Silva Burton take. He kind of gave us a little preview, but I know Burton scored the touchdown last week. You just don't think his production's sustainable, Evan?
Well, the Steelers have been pretty good against tight ends so far. They contained Jordan Reed. He had 7 catches. I mean, which is, that's what Jordan Reed does. But he only had 64 yards, no TDs. And then, the Bengals didn't really do anything from their tight end position. Not that they have strong tight ends in the first place, but Ryan Shazier is a really athletic dude in the middle of the Steelers defense. That's a little bit of a concern. And Trey Burton didn't play a full complement of snaps. I mean, look, I'm not saying that he's a bad play, but when
I think that's exactly what you're saying.
No, okay. I think he's okay. If you really want to play a minimum tight end, then you can look at him. Why wouldn't you just go up 500 and get Dennis Pitta, who could see 11 targets?
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that analysis.
Trey Burton or Jack Doyle?
Jack Doyle, which is so gross. I just think Luck throws 50 times probably.
It's a gross question. Trey Burton or Jack Doyle?
I don't know. I guess my big PSA would be anyone who is expecting like crazy ROI with Frank Gore, you're only getting it if his carcass falls into the end zone twice.
Wow, why are you randomly bringing up Frank Gore?
I've seen Frank Gore hype tweets, dude.
Somebody has. You're subtweeting somebody on the SwoleCast. You're SwoleCasting somebody.
I mean, no one on this show, but definitely some other people in the industry.
Name names. Call them out.
I'm not naming names, fella. That's not my style.
Yeah, Frank Gore would die. Is probably going to die before.
I'll name names. Andrew Wiggins, Mac a Soup out there. I'll name names.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Hey, Wiggins was the first dude on Barnage before anybody last year. You remember that?
I do, except he never played Barnage. He always loved him. He just never played him until he got really expensive. Wiggins is my guy. All right. As far as like defenses go, we're not going to worry about kickers. As far as defenses, you've got a few defenses in really good spots. You've got the Dolphins. You've got the Cowboys. You've got the Cardinals. You got the Seahawks. Where are you guys as far as like the team defense? If you have to play one, who's it going to be, Evan?
I like that you didn't even mention the Buccaneers. That suggests to me that
they're not going to be chalky at all.
Yeah, they'll have really low ownership. I mean, they're in a great spot because they can stop the run, but they can't stop the pass. I mean, they're gonna put the Rams into a situation where they can't run the ball, and Case Keenum's going to throw the ball 30 times, and good things happen for the opposing defense when Case Keenum throws the ball a lot.
Man, you're going to be crying when Tavon Austin scores 3 touchdowns. You're just going to be bent over crying.
The thing is,
that's not even. No,
the thing is, on both sides, you've got the Dolphins that are $100 difference one way or the other.
Dolphins are definitely the chalk, and I think defenses are a good place to avoid the chalk in daily fantasy, just because their scoring is so volatile.
Yeah,
like unless you have like you're specifically doing the correlation with Landry is the punt returner, or you're playing a Kenyon Drake team or something. I would avoid them in large field tournaments.
Yes, in large field tournaments, I agree.
Are people going to play Kenyon Drake?
Yeah. I've heard it. People are going to play.
People will play Kenyon Drake. They'll play Cameron Artis-Payne. They're going to play Asiata. Like that's just a given that they're going to play these guys this week.
You're making this week sound more appealing for cash games as you say that.
I think this is an excellent week to play a bunch of head-to-heads because you're not going to be in a bunch of 2v2s the way it's been the last. Right. You're going to have some very you're going to open up, a $10 game and, you're going to select the don't show similar players and your screen's not going to change. Like it's going to be a really good week if you feel confident in your takes. Like you're not going to have a ton of overlap.
It actually is a good point that it is a week that, there's more decisions for people to make this week.
Yeah.
A lot of weeks in the first couple of weeks, you're kind of almost, you have, must play scenarios. You don't necessarily have that this week. And if there are, it's not necessarily a groupthink week.
And there were so many injuries, but those injuries didn't open up like one must play. Like a lot of the injuries opened up like gross situations.
Yeah, there's no week one Spencer Ware type injury here.
Where a guy's just going to get all the snaps and it's going to just be the given. Like there's just a bunch. Like I hope that some of these guys are being played. Silva, you've got like something you want to say. Get off your chest.
Kenyon Drake.
All in.
I mean, I'm not telling you I'm doing it. I'm just telling you people are 100%. He will be owned.
It's like you're.
I think people might try to use Jay Ajayi too, and then he'll be inactive because Adam Gase hates him. He lost a fumble last week against the Patriots. Like, don't use Dolphins running backs, man.
All right. That sound means that we are all out of time here on the SwoleCast. Thank you, Davis Mattek. I told you to set.
I was gonna bring the dog.
Yeah, no, I set the alarm. So we'll see everybody on week 4. Will it be a perfect show? No, absolutely not, because that's not our style. Thanks for everybody that's tuning in to the SwoleCast, or the SwoleReCast, as someone called it. Thanks to Evan Silva. Go read his matchups article there on rotoworld.com. Read the automatic absolutes on Fantasy Insiders. Is Total Takes ready, Dan?
Total Takes is up.
It's up. Okay, so it's up. It'll be a good time. Platinum
automatic absolutes has a Jerick McKinnon poem.
Davis! I can't believe I didn't even think of this. Can you read the poem right now?
Oh God!
No! I want to hear Davis read this poem because I was reading it and I didn't get it. Like I didn't get the rhythm. I want to hear the rhythm coming from Davis Mattek, master lyricist.
Okay, then we'll end the show on the Davis Mattek.
Yes, here we go.
I don't know if my brand can live through me reading a poem about Jerick McKinnon on air.
You literally already wrote it, so either you read it or I read it in an English accent.
Okay, no. Okay. All right, are we? I'm gonna measure the Evan Silva eye rolls on this. No, actually, you know what? I'm not doing this.
Yes, do it.
No, I don't think I can do this.
All right, then I'm doing it. I'll pull it up.
Oh, come on, Davis, spare us.
Okay. All right.
Spare
All
us
right.
from
Fine.
kissing.
All right. An ode to wasted talent. Ah, young Jarek, young man with a spark higher than the stars, star-crossed to study under a flawed and violent legend and a destination that could cause even the most mundane of men to jump off a sailboat in a blue blazer. Splitter of carries with fat Asiata, a purple warrior ready to be unleashed when Zimmer of St. Pete learns of McKinnon's true destiny. Maybe not week 3 or 4 when the young man's services can be acquired for pennies, as the soothsayers opine he can only be expected to carry 65% of the Viking army's workload. But as time runs its course, we shall all dine in Valhalla with all the spoils of young McKinnon's talents.
That's actually good.
I liked
good.
it. Yeah, I liked it.
I mean, nothing rhymed, but I'm just going to take your word that that's like a legit ode, like one of the irregular odes they teach in English class.
I mean, I was a creative writing major, fella.
I'm glad you finally have put it to use. All right, that will do it for the week 3 SwoleReCast. We'll see you next week.